2, 1. Scott, I know you have to depart, so we will wish you well. And
Is that a J.A. Happ jersey, Mike?
I really think that you are going to win a lot of money tonight.
I hope so. Thanks, Dave.
Joey Bats.
Congrats on getting through a show without talking about Al Jefferson.
Oh, yeah. Heard he's a good guy.
All I needed was a day he wasn't playing. Or today.
And on that note,
I didn't talk about Richard Jefferson either, so... Well, actually, I guess we did talk about Richard Jefferson a little bit.
yeah, you and Nat.
All right, guys. Good luck.
All right, later.
We are the champions of the world.
All right, we probably didn't do that video justice. I'm pretty sure that I was opening up tabs in the middle of it and it was slow. But anyways,
What
it was the Insiders TV blessing, and you two should really be paying attention to it because basically what happened is on Wednesday's show. Scott said that I needed to change my handle to DFS_Nostradamus because I predicted that Scott would win a lot of money. And
That
I
was
quote,
crazy.
I said, Scott, I think you're going to win a lot of money tonight. And you know what?
Scott won a lot of money.
He won a lot of money.
A lot of money.
He won a lot of money.
So there you go. Want to welcome everybody to the Daily Fantasy Insiders TV show, sponsored by the wonderful friends that we have over there at DraftDay, and want to welcome Dave Loughran. Let me get this shot set up. There we go. Dave Loughran, a.k.a. Laufey D, and Mike Leone from the Daily Fantasy Rundown there at rotoexperts.com. So, Dave, you've already got your Phillies jersey on, but opening day doesn't start till Monday.
I don't care if opening day is in July, Dave. I'm just wearing my jersey and I'm loving it. Actually, you know why I'm wearing it? Because Mike said he was going to wear a baseball jersey today. So I figured I'm not going to let him be unique, and I'll wear one too. Just a little spite, you know.
Well played.
People are wanting to know if we're doing an MLB show today. No, we're doing an NBA show. Basically, Dave just likes to confuse people. That's pretty much what it is. So, sorry about
Mike and I did break down some killer MLB analysis last night, though, so we'll give him that later.
That's what we hear. You're looking good, Dave, but you're like frozen right now. So it's like don't move, but you had this like sexy.
If I'm frozen,
yeah, we can't see your video, so don't. So like you can move around, and then we have Mike's cat that's running amok on his. So it's like everything's just kind of crazy today, and that's okay. I said it earlier, but I'm actually looking forward for NBA to wind down. However, I am still a sucker. Like I'm still going to be playing for until it ends, pretty much. And
I'm going to play the playoffs too.
Yeah, even in the playoffs. So there's still some big tournaments coming up. So we'll have a Monday daily fantasy MLB show for opening day, but we're still going to be throwing in MLB analysis for the remainder of the NBA season. Really want to start with tonight's biggest story, and I think you both know what that is. The Nuggets.
All right, that's where I thought we were going, but
sorry. I just noticed that, Mike, you are also wearing an MLB jersey.
That was my
We
point.
even talked about this with you listening to us.
Well, no, you talked about it, but I was not listening. So as far as the Nugget situation tonight, you've got Mozgov, who's now out, and Wilson Chandler continues to be out. So we're down to eight player rotation tonight.
8-player rotation and only three front court guys: Randolph,
Miller.
Reed, and Arthur.
Yeah. Miller, I guess, would be a small forward. But yeah, so you have Fareed, and I guess if you want to call Arthur and Randolph front court guys, they have to for tonight.
Right.
So Fareed's kind of just a given right now. And I think that whatever his price is, you probably want to pay it.
Yeah, I liked him, even before Mozgov was out, because he's like a fantasy point per minute guy, and he's shown that he can keep that ratio even when playing more minutes, which he has been. But he's going to have to play maybe 40 minutes, and you get a guy who's that good of a per minute performer, getting that much of an increase in minutes, that even though his salary has adjusted upwards, he's got a really, really high floor tonight, I think.
Here's the thing, though, and I know this might sound crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if Fareed's minutes don't even climb that much. And I only say that because he's had ample opportunity to see extended minutes so many times this season, and Brian Shaw just doesn't give it to him. I mean, yeah, he has seen big minutes at times, but how many did he play against? Do we know how many he played against San Antonio the other night? That would be a pretty good indicator. But anyway, point is that I get worried that you'll see other guys, that we rarely hear of or rarely play get the bigger minutes, and Fareed will continue to get like 34, 35. But that's still plenty of time. That's just one of my concerns. He's still worth rostering in all formats, though.
Yeah. So people on Wednesday were all about Tyreek Evans, including myself. So sometimes it doesn't equal guaranteed production. I really thought that Tyreek would go nuts, and he should have. And I would be a lot richer today if he did. But we have tonight. It seems like Fareed's going to be the guy that everyone's owning. So over under on 75%, like kind of across all the different sites on Fareed.
Under.
I'll take the under, because I think with the Spurs, people just seeing the Spurs matchup, and then you've got so many, high-priced options at the power forward spot, and then Jordan Hill is a cheap guy that I think he'll be over 50%, but I'm taking the under on 75.
I just don't know these other guys for the Nuggets. I mean, who's not in play, I guess, would be my question.
I think everyone's in play except maybe Quincy Miller.
And even he had a decent game on Wednesday.
I know. He reminds me like Mo Harkless, where sometimes I feel like he could just play a ton of minutes and do nothing.
I think he's a poor man's Mo Harkless. I don't even.
Yeah, I mean, but
that's saying a lot too.
I have a vendetta against Harkless because that dude will have 38-minute games where he doesn't shoot the ball once.
Yeah. Yeah. Dave, who are you looking at this Denver roster tonight?
I just want to say something about Tyreek Evans real quick.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
He played point guard on Wednesday, which kind of, it's expected that against Chris Paul you're going to see, fewer fantasy points. So tonight, with Roberts and Gordon likely both being out, I don't see any reason why not to still play him. I think he'll be a solid option once again. But I think if he would have played shooting guard, I mean, look what Anthony Morrow did to them: 9 for 17, 27 points. Like, I think, even though Chris Paul had a terrible game shooting himself, actually I think it's the worst in Clippers history. It was still a difficult matchup for him, and I expect that to turn around tonight. I like both him and Anthony Davis, but in terms of Denver, I'm with you guys. I love Kenneth Faried. Darrell Arthur is probably the guy that I would look at, because I think none of those bench players have much upside. But if you're going to look at upside, and I think the most extended run from these injuries, I'm assuming it'll be Arthur. I think he put up around 28, 29 fantasy points on Wednesday against San Antonio. And on the other side, I love Tim Duncan once again. He's got a great matchup in a high-scoring game. If he plays, of course. We never know if he's going to play. But he played 36 minutes, which is uncharacteristically high for him on Wednesday.
Well,
and he put up 60 fantasy. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it was a close game. And we were talking about this a little off the air, but you had everybody. I feel like the quote unquote experts, including ourselves, kind of put everybody on Kevin Love and Anthony Davis, and because of that, you had three perfectly capable guys in Cousins, Al Jeff, and Tim Duncan that have had other huge nights in the industry, but they were under 10% owned. Every one of them were under 10% owned across the industry on Wednesday.
Yeah. I had Tim Duncan in my article, but I did state that, at this point he's more of a GPP play, and I had Kevin Love. I had a terrible night on Wednesday, man. I had Drummond, who I put in for 5, and Kevin Love, who I swapped out or put in for Anthony Davis. So that basically sums up my night. And yeah, a lot of people were on those guys.
Yeah, Dave, you're cutting in or cutting out a little bit on us, and your video is freezing. So I'm not sure if you can close out some other programs. I know you had some. You crushed your laptop. It's not funny, but
it's a little funny.
It kind of is when you think about crushing it at a laundromat.
Let me see what I can do right now. It's difficult because I'm on a pretty bad laptop. That's the only option I got right now.
I understand. Unfortunately, we'll have to shift to Mike's beautiful face. But as far as Tim Duncan, usually they don't sit out the front night of a back-to-back.
Right. I had Duncan as my cover player today.
Oh!
I think...
Me too, buddy. Me too.
I think while there's risk there, especially with Denver so thin that they might get blown out, tomorrow night they're home against the Pelicans, and I think they're a lot more likely to sit that game, which means they should play normal minutes tonight. And Denver is so atrocious against power forwards, and Duncan's history against them is insane. I went back the last 3 years, every game but one, he's averaged more than a FanDuel point per minute. And I think in total he's averaged 39 FanDuel points in 31 minutes played. And in the 4 games between this year and last year that he did play over 30 minutes, the numbers are insane. I think there's like a 70-point game in there, a 50, and a couple in the 40s. So I think he's worth the risk. He could play 25 minutes and hit value. And if we're guessing correctly and they rest tomorrow night and not tonight, then there's a good chance he at least hits that 30-minute mark and should just destroy that thin front court of Denver.
Yeah. The only problem is that you again have Anthony Davis, Kevin Love, in addition to Faried. Like, power forward is not short of high-priced options tonight. Mm-hmm. And, you've got K. Love going against the Lakers.
Yeah.
If there's a game where he can bounce back, surely this is it.
It is, but I'd still rather take Anthony Davis on sites where he's cheaper. Like, he's $1,000 cheaper on DraftKings, and then I don't see any reason not to play him. Especially with Dang performing so well right now. If Pekovic's out, I mean, he's really been just incredible. He's the guy to own in this game, if you ask me. Of the big men, he's cheaper and he's performing at a really high rate.
His name is actually Jang.
Not what? That.
His name is actually Jang. I know that you like it when we correct people. So
that's fine. I have zero idea how to pronounce it. How do you pronounce the first name? Georgiou?
Mike?
Gorju Jang.
I've just been calling
But-
him Georgie D.
In all seriousness, I don't expect these numbers to last completely as teams adjust to Jang, but right now Kevin Love's rebounding rate with Jang off the floor is 20%, and it's 14% with him on the floor. That's a huge difference when you're paying that much for someone. That's more than enough to make it a lot tougher for them to get value. I still have Love as my top power forward over Davis, but it's pretty close, and I think if Davis is cheaper, I would rather roll him. But I'm kind of on the, take Fareed or Duncan in that middle range and complement them with a cheaper Jordan Hill. All depending on the site that you're on. And Jang on like FanDuel, Star Fantasy Leagues, those are two sites where his price just has not adjusted. But I'm wondering, are you guys paying $14K for him on Draft Street though? He's 14% of the cap on a couple of sites.
No, and he's a lot on draft. He's 7,000 on DraftKings, but look at his price on DraftDay and FanDuel. At that price,
that price, I think you're locking him in.
I closed out of my internet, guys, so I can't really see much. I don't know if my screen's any better or if I'm not cutting out as much. Just as bad?
The audio's better.
Audio's better, and you've got this pretty sexy pose going on. So
you really do.
Don't worry about it. You have these options. You also have. Let's go ahead and run down some of the news tonight, and we'll start talking about this New Orleans situation. So basically, the big news is that D Wade's questionable. Go figure. It's a Friday. Peck is questionable. I don't think he's going to be playing. Isaiah Thomas questionable. LaMarcus Aldridge questionable, although he had a pretty nice game last night. Also said it was due to a beat writer that inspired him to do that. Brian Roberts probably not going to be playing, but Austin Rivers might be an option tonight, which is terrible.
Yeah,
but I still think Anthony Morrow is that guy. I mean, after a performance like that, it's hard to think that even if Rivers is going to be available, but it's hard to think that even if Gordon and Roberts are out, it's difficult for me to believe that Morrow won't get at least 30 minutes with an opportunity to produce after a good performance on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, he'll still get minutes, and he's the guys you want to own on FanDuel at 3,600, going cheap at the shooting guard spot. I fully believe that you want to play him out there, but Rivers is still in play, unfortunately. Evans and Davis going back to the well tonight. And even Aminu, if they go big. I mean,
yeah, someone mentioned Aminu in the chat, and if Gordon and I'm ignoring you, Laffy. If Gordon and Roberts are out, I think that's like a dirty, cheap, punt play for small forward. He's gonna have to play 30 minutes if those two guys are out. Almost regardless of what they play size wise.
Now, by dirty, can you elaborate?
Dirty, maybe it was like a mind trick, because Dirty is the guy in the chat who brought him up. So it's his play. He owns that play now.
You should have said he was a naughty play. Ow.
I thought...
Oh, gosh. Dave, you've talked about liking Anthony Davis and Tyreek. What about Aminu and... how much is too much, basically? I almost started 5 players in the DraftKings bank shot on Wednesday. 5 Pelicans players, including Ajinka. He didn't have a bad game, but still. How much is too much for this New Orleans lineup tonight? Mike?
Oh, I thought you were... Okay.
I was. I think he's frozen.
I think you want to pick and choose your spots. I think they're all viable, just like Denver. I know that kind of sounds like a cop-out.
No, I can hear you.
But if you're on FanDuel, I think you got to take Morrow at shooting guard. But I don't think you have to play Tyreek Evans. I like Eric Bledsoe as a shooting guard at around 7,000, save you a bit of money there. Amino is just such a good pump play at small forward because I really like LeBron tonight. I'm assuming that Wade's out. So probably the ones I'm looking at most are... It's pretty site dependent. I don't know how I'll split that. Give me Morrow is probably the one that I would use most across the industry at that shooting guard spot for really cheap.
Yeah. Let's talk about this Jordan Hill character who gave people a heart attack on, was it Tuesday? I guess it was
In the
Tuesday.
blowout,
Yeah, only played like really 14 minutes. There was some foul trouble that had to do with that.
yeah, but he still made he was 6 for 6, I think, made every shot. He just didn't play big minutes.
It was the combination of foul trouble and the blowout.
Yeah, and the bench went off, and so they rewarded the bench with minutes, and he was not on the bench. He was starting. So then last night went off again. So he's had an amazing game, a meh game, and an amazing game. So if you kind of go by patterns, he's going to have a meh game tonight, but against the Timberwolves,
Screw patterns.
you think he and his hairdo are safe?
I don't know about safe. I think there's
This
a little
over-under.
more, but I think the risk is worth it. Like, you could get 14 fantasy points out of him. I think you have to be prepared that that's a legitimately possible outcome, but I think more times than not, he hits value in this situation with a lot of profit potential, and he's definitely someone I'm looking at DraftKings and FanDuel at that power forward spot. What is he on DraftDay?
yeah, he's site specific, and I think on draft day he's like 9,900 or something.
He's a little bit more. He's closer to 10% there, and that's when you start the risk.
But on
start to matter
DraftKings
anymore.
at 4,300, it's really, really difficult not to want to play him at 4,300 when you know what his upside looks like. Now, you take that game. You take that game where they blew out. It was the Knicks, right? They blew out the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
And that, in my opinion, that's more of an outlier than the other performances, because when he's starting this season, he's averaging nearly 28 fantasy points per game, and he had some bad starts earlier in the season. So I don't know. I think he's definitely worth a look. FanDuel and DraftKings, more specifically, and this game, a 225 over under, I think, something around there. I don't see it being the blowout. And if it is a blowout, he should still play, enough minutes to meet value on those sites, because he's not going to need much.
Yeah. Agree. I mean, power forward is just packed tonight. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, especially when you throw in the Nuggets guys. It was kind of packed before that.
Let's see. We do have Green going to be out for the Spurs that Al mentioned. I forgot to get to the rest of the news, so we kind of stopped on.
Yeah, he's out. So Manu, his minutes are a little bit safer. I think he hits 25. There's probably, I don't know. He's probably going to play much more than that, but still with 25 minutes in that high-scoring environment, I think the total is 215 in that game, which is the second highest of the evening. So
yeah, it is.
So that's a viable option.
You just have to keep in mind the blowout potential here, because if there's a blowout, just because Ginobili comes off the bench doesn't mean he'll see minutes in a blowout. I mean, you have to look at him from a starter's perspective, because in a blowout, he'll see the same amount of minutes as Duncan or Parker, and then you'll see someone like Bellinelli or someone that you've never heard of get 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think, and then other news, David Lee, Andre Iguodala are game time decisions. I think I will probably avoid Golden State in a tough matchup against Memphis with so many other options, though.
Yeah, the only person I like in that game is Marc Gasol. There's really no one else that I'm interested in. I think Gasol is always a viable cash game option just because of his consistency.
If Lee and Iggy are both out, though, you're talking about a lot of minutes for Draymond. This could be one of those big games.
I think there's better value out there.
There probably is.
If we know they're both out, what time do they play though?
They're their last game of the night.
Late.
That's the last game of the night.
I don't know if it's so much. I mean, obviously you're not going to risk it on non-late swap sites, and I don't know if there's so much value that you need to leave yourself an out with Draymond. If we know they're both out, especially with Draymond Green small forward eligible on non-efficiency sites, even in the tough matchup, you have to like him, but I don't think we'll have that news for sure in time.
Yeah, because against Memphis, he's going to need a really healthy, a lot of minutes if he intends on hitting value. Because Memphis, I I know they're better up front, but still, they have a good. They're a good defensive squad all around. They play a slow pace, and it's going to be difficult to meet value if he's playing 21 minutes per game. You're going to need I would want at least 30, 33 minutes from Green if I had any ideas of playing him at all.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're going big with the power forwards and you need some salary cap relief at the small forward position, I wouldn't hate on the move. This OKC and Sacramento game, are you playing anybody in this game? It's going to be a 12-point game according to Vegas. Is going to be, well, not really that high scoring, but I mean up there. But in Oklahoma City, anybody that you're interested in playing, Mike?
Well, if Isaiah's out, I think you have to go back to McCallum for really cheap. I knew.
Let's talk.
Sorry for bringing that up.
No, it's fine. I was laughing in combination of that and you said McCallum. It was your Canadian. It was your Canadian/Irish accent coming out. What? Oh, you got to play CJ McCallum tonight. Oh, CJ McCallum and his brother Ray, who doesn't even spell the same.
Moving on, I like Westbrook too if he's gonna play. Even on the minutes limit, I think his price is taking that into account. No.
Boo.
I don't hate him.
I just don't think you. I don't think you need to tonight.
What tournament? I mean, I think that could be fun in a tournament. I mean, he can go nuts in 30, 32 minutes, and his price is lower than it. I mean, it should be lower because he's not getting the high minutes, but he can still hit value in 30, 32 minutes.
Rubio versus the Lakers or Westbrook on a minutes limit against
Rubio.
Not
straight up though.
Right, price dependent, but assuming that
Rubio is probably better value on both sides.
Yeah,
I don't think that Westbrook is an automatic non-play though, just because of the minutes limit.
Okay.
No, Rubio has been really solid against the Lakers this season. Though. I mean, he's struggled at times in any circumstance, but there.
Yeah, definitely agree, Dave. Didn't want to cut you off there, but you did a good job doing it yourself. As far as the other games, the other big men available, Enes Kanter seems like a pretty good price across the industry.
Yeah.
Value play, maybe someone that not a whole lot of people are going to be on, but I think that could easily meet value in this matchup against Steams and Ajinka.
Yeah, I like him on Draft Street, where some of the other options that we like, Jang in particular, is 14K, whereas on FanDuel or some other sites you might be locking him in. Now on Draft Street, it's really kind of tough to decide where to spend your money. So if you want to save a little bit at center, I think he's very viable there. I have a tougher time playing him over Jang on FanDuel though, or on DraftKings, where you have that power forward, and DraftDay too, where you get that center eligibility for a lot of power forwards.
Let me give you someone that it's kind of flying under the radar. Deron Williams. I actually like him tonight, and he has consecutive 44 fantasy point games. He's got a great matchup tonight with Cleveland, and he's playing 40+ minutes recently. I think he could be a sneaky good play on sites where he's still relatively cheap.
Yeah.
I think so too. I like Deron Williams. He's gotten I think in regulation he's played right around 37 minutes a game, 3 games in a row. And when he's healthy, he's getting those minutes. He seems healthy.
I was about to say, you realize you're going to jinx him because he's going to sprain his ankle the first half of the.
Yeah, he's always a risk, but he's just playing well recently, and he's taken a lot of shots.
Yeah, Rubio and Deron Williams are interesting. So I think Rubio's always got. I don't care what anyone says about what he's been doing recently. He's always got some risk in his productivity.
Oh yeah.
And then you've got Deron Williams, who's got the health risk. So those two are kind of like in similar spots tonight. The risk is a little bit different, but they both have, that low floor, but such good matchups that you're willing to overlook it. I think Dragic is someone that a lot of people are off of because of Bledsoe, but I noted today that his minutes have been up a little bit higher the last few games. Sometimes we forget that even guys in solid roles, when their minutes uptick 3 or 4 minutes, that's a handful of fantasy points, a lot easier for them to hit value. and they've tightened that rotation, making a playoff push. The Knicks' defense against point guards has been struggling through the latter half of this season. So I think he's actually a pretty safe cash game play where he's around 14% of the cap.
That's interesting because I like him, but I like Eric Bledsoe more tonight.
I like Bledsoe more for the same price.
He's finally, but yeah, Magic against that Knicks backcourt is good. He should be a good play. I just don't. It's difficult for me to trust him with Bledsoe in the lineup because when you look at Bledsoe's numbers, you're looking at 5 to 7 rebounds, 5 to 7 assists every single game, and it just seems like he does take some of the peripheral production out of Dragic's pocket.
I definitely agree with that. I think we're at the point, though, where the price on Dragic has adjusted for that, but hasn't readjusted upwards for him playing, back up in upper 30s minutes. The Suns went through that weird adjustment period when Bledsoe first came back, and I think they've gotten through it, and the roles are more solidified, and you're seeing both Dragic and Bledsoe playing in upper 30s, making them both good value plays.
I'd have to agree with that, Michael.
Aw. We did have a question from...
Me and Laufey love each other. We always agree.
He says, what about Tony Douglas tonight with Wade game time decision, Allen
No.
out?
There's just no reason for it.
I don't think you have to, especially with Rivers, with Ray McCollum.
McCollum.
Ray McCollum. Want to talk a little bit about Ray. Let's see. No, Draft Cheat is not in the chat because he was trolling Davis so hard on Wednesday, talking about how he wasn't a good player, he wasn't good play per 36.
He isn't, but it doesn't matter. He played 40 minutes.
It's That's right. It's opportunity. When you are the only point guard and you're playing with guys that are decent. I mean, he had was missing layup after layup after layup.
3 for 14, Dave. He shot 3 for 14. But who cares?
Yeah, he was on Nap's. We're talking about McCallum, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he was on Nap's team that won $50K because he hit value. Even with a terrible game, he hit value.
Easily hit value. He had 10.6 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal, I think. So what's that right there? That's like 27 fantasy points right there.
He met value everywhere. Had a bad first half and a decent second half. I mean, I think it was Kevin Pelton with ESPN was saying that he was growing up kind of in that point guard slot. Still a rookie, but you have to take into account the opportunity. And when you're running the point guard spot, this even applies to Austin Rivers, who's terrible. But if he's the only point guard they roll out tonight, even with Tyreek available to take over some of the point guard duties, you have to look at Rivers on some sites. I mean, you look at him even minimum salary on DraftKings. I mean, you have to take a look at him especially where he's shooting guard eligible. So if Isaiah is out, if you want to prepare for that, you have to take a look at Ray. I would disagree with those that say that per 36 minutes will go down when you're playing with the first team because you're playing against first team defense, especially when that first team defense is the Knicks. But just I think people can overanalyze things and overgeneralize things. And looking at per 36 minutes, per 36 stats, and applying them to a player you don't think is good who is at a minimum salary and who has a lot of opportunity, I think you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. So that's all I'll say about Ray and Rivers tonight. Is that? Let
me just add something real quick, Dave. Real fast.
Hey, Dave, can you add something real quick?
Sure, if you don't mind. He played 42 minutes. Cousins was the only one that logged those minutes. He logged more minutes than anybody on the team. And the great thing about this is if Thomas is out, he's going to play big minutes regardless if it's a blowout or not. So if you're getting 38, 40 minutes per game, as you already noted, and he's cheap enough to really only he only requires 20 fantasy points, if that, on some sites. So I don't see that per 36 really even coming into play. It's not in the picture. because 40 minutes he's going to fall into a couple fantasy points, especially playing point guard.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Okay. Can we move on? Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
There was a lot of value in the Milwaukee Bucks last night. I thought we should talk about that.
That was wonderful, man. I had 3 of them on my team.
No, we're not going to be talking about the Bucks tonight. It was Larry Sanders' bobblehead night last night. How sad is that?
Did he have a missing eye?
I didn't look that closely, to be honest.
Half
As
the man would know.
positional value goes, we've talked about like the big men, and Joakim Noah also another guy at that. Like I feel like on DraftKings, and
DraftKings, his price is stupid. Yeah, he's a really good play there.
yeah, and even DraftDay, I think he's a decent price. Let me check the.
Yeah, I think, and Draft Street again. I think Draft Street there's more fluidity in the center position because Jang isn't an easy play there. Also, I think Andre Drummond is in a nice spot
Oh, gosh.
on like Draft Street and sites where he's meaningfully cheaper than Big Al and Noah, but pretty close to Jang because he's had. Oh shoot! I wish I had it up.
That's what she said.
What do you want his numbers against Miami?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the
47.
potential there if he gets the minutes. Obviously, there's always a minutes risk, but yeah, I'm going to look it up right now.
He's averaging, off the top of my head, 13 points, 14 rebounds, and around 40 fantasy points per game through 3 meetings with Miami this season. And his minutes aren't that bad. I mean, the foul trouble is the concern with him, and
Right.
it's certainly a concern, but I really don't see him getting into much foul trouble against the likes of Adonis Haslam and Chris Bosh. But
Yeah, so
anything.
so this is what he's done. Points, rebounds. He went 12 and 12 in 24 minutes, 19 and 14 in 36 minutes, and 10 and 18 in 23 minutes. So you see there's pretty monster potential. You could get a 20 rebound game, a 20-20 game. It's definitely not a safe play. But like I said, when he's in that position where he's around the same price as Jang and meaningfully cheaper than Jefferson and Noah, I think he might be worth the gamble with that upside.
Like, what about his blocks? What about his block totals in this game?
I didn't look at the block totals. I was slacking there, so I don't know.
I'm just wondering because I'm sure he's got a couple. When he gets his blocks up, he's a couple blocks for him is always solid because he can easily give you 19 rebounds.
Yeah, and you always want to take
rebounding team, and they're the worst rebounding team in basketball. So
exactly. You're always looking to match up, a player's strengths against the team's weaknesses, and that's just a perfect example of it.
yeah, and he's a great offensive rebounder too, which tells you he's going to clean up a lot of garbage at the rim. He doesn't need plays drawn up for him.
Can we talk about this Trailblazers game against the Bulls some more with Noah? Because I feel like you kind of hijacked the conversation, Mike.
We can talk about it some more. What would you like to talk about specifically?
Okay, well,
Hijacking, Dave, might not be, appropriate at this point.
Oh my gosh, Dave!
I'm putting it on you, man. Just watch what you say. That's all.
Too soon, man. Too
Me too
freaking soon.
Oh, okay. Let's flip it. Yeah, I see.
All right. LaMarcus Aldridge, if he's out tonight, Joakim Noah like a must play. But for the Blazers, I mean, they had 5 games. Like they're having 5 games in 7 days. So you're talking about tired legs. Like, does this change anything for you with the Blazers, Mike?
I don't think too much. Like you said, tired legs. It's a tough matchup. There's a lot of value elsewhere. I think, it's going to be one of those situations where a lot of people are going to flock to this situation because of what we saw when Aldridge missed a few games before with guys like Batum going nuts. But you've seen a price correction in Batum. Lillard isn't playing very well. I just don't think you have to force it here. I mean, Lillard's price is down a little bit. I might risk him in some tournaments, but I probably won't go with, too much Trailblazers.
And it's not a great overall matchup at any specific position. And Batum's price is going through the roof and his production is coming down. There is no way he was going to maintain that ridiculous production. And Lillard, I just can't trust the guy. You can't trust him. He'll have a huge game, and then you'll play him, and he'll just disappear.
Yeah, taking a look at these games, we probably need to talk about Al Jefferson against the Magic, because Al Jefferson is in beast mode against Orlando. Only 4.5 point game, but they're just feeding Al Jefferson. I mean, possession after possession, feeding him in the post. Tonight's going to be similar, but I feel like with Al Jeff's price and just other plays, kind of like Wednesday, Al Jeff might be another kind of under the radar play for tonight. Like, everyone's looking at all these options, and it's kind of hard to believe, but Al Jeff against the Magic might be a contrarian play.
Yeah, and on DraftKings, Scott was joking with me the other day in the chat when I said, there's no such thing as matchup proof, and he goes, well, what if DraftKings never reduces his price? And he's right. He's still a good value on DraftKings. You can play multiple power forwards on that site.
Yeah, you can
I think you could play up to 4 if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
So I could see him in main lineups there.
Another contrarian game play in that same game is Kemba Walker. He isn't as great on the road, but if you look at his splits versus Orlando over the past couple of years, he's been phenomenal. I mean, last year through 4 games against them, he averaged over 50 fantasy points per game. And this season hasn't been as spectacular, but like you said, they're feeding Jefferson. He's going to get the assist. Touches per game, I think Kemba is number one, or maybe not one. He's top 5. He was up there. But anyway, he's a contrarian player that I wouldn't mind rolling out there at the right price.
Yeah, and if Jameer's out on the other side, Oladipo, he is playing.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Okay.
This just in, we have news from Dave Lochran that Jameer Nelson is in play tonight versus the Charlotte Bobcats. We will now go back to the regular schedule programming, and that would be the rapid fire on draft day.
What just happened?
Breaking news.
It's breaking news, Dave. You broke some news.
That's pretty sweet.
Let's go to our sponsor DraftDay site and have a good time with the rapid fire. You guys know the drill. Basically, whatever Mike says, do not follow. Whatever I say, do follow. I mean, do you want to be in the corner of Mike, or do you want to be in the corner?
I know, I never win anything, Dave.
Yeah, you never win anything. Or do you want to be
king over here
in the corner of the? I think it was Scott that said the most successful.
I think it was you who said it.
Was it?
It might have been. I could be, misremembering.
I mean, things get so muddied sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he said, she said.
Yeah. So that's what she said. Kevin Love versus Anthony Davis tonight.
I'm still going to get
Love.
I've got Love. That is sweet.
A lot of love for you.
I will go with...
There's a lot of love between us.
Oh, man. This one's a tough one. What did you say, Dave?
I said Love, but as I said earlier, Davis, I'm going to play him on sites where he's cheaper. But if we're just straight up, more fantasy points, better opportunity for a better game, I'm going Love.
This is tough, but yeah. I'll go with you guys. Waiters versus Kawhi.
I think this is Waiters, hands down.
But I still don't love him tonight just because of the hike in salary across the board. And he's good on FanDuel, but his price has jumped a lot elsewhere.
You know what? I'm actually going to go with Kawhi tonight.
Well, don't play the max.
After all,
if we said Kawhi though, Mike, he would have gone with.
Dave, I don't know what you're seeing there. Waiters is going to play 40 minutes with a usage rate in the 30s. It's going to be really tough for Kawhi to outscore.
It's because we said Waiters, Mike. If we said Leonard, he's going Waiters, no doubt about it.
We said Drew and I were talking about on Wednesday how we thought that Kawhi might be a healthy scratch. we don't know what he's going to do. But I would agree. The reason why I said Kawhi instead of Waiters, though, at first is because Waiters kind of cost me on Wednesday in that Draft Street game. Like, I'm still kind of bitter.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little risk, on
If he can't
efficiency
hit,
sites,
man,
which
if he
draft
cannot
day is, because he's going to shoot 20 times. So if he shoots 6 for 20, you're going to lose a lot of points.
Let's see, Bledsoe or Tyreek?
Tyreek.
That's tough, but I'm going Tyreek. But that's tough. I really like both of them.
I'll go Reek with you guys. Trey Burke or Kendall Marshall?
Marshall.
Ugh. Pass.
I'll go Burke.
Yeah, I'm going Burke if I had to, but I don't.
You
I don't
do
like
have
either.
to.
Oh, Mike with the jokes.
What up?
Last
Oh,
one,
Mike
PJ
got
Tucker
excited.
or Amare?
Who?
PJ Tucker or Amare Stoudemire?
Come on, Scott.
I'm deferring to Laffy first. Oh,
Scott with the
Let's go with the
100 grand.
revenge factor. Steve mentioned it in
PJ
chat.
Tucker.
Let's go with the revenge factor. So there you go. Here is your picks for tonight. Those are what you want to go. We will now get on to the lightning round, and that is people will ask us questions. You have to answer them 3 words or less. You guys know the rules. Doesn't mean
Okay.
that you'll follow them.
What happens if we go over 3 words? Do we get buzzed?
That is what will happen.
Let's see if you got a quick enough trigger finger.
Dragic or D-Will on Draft Street, Mike?
Dragic, safer, Darren, upside.
You don't have to talk like a robot while doing lightning round. I don't know where you came up with that.
I'm
You
limiting
talk
my
like
words.
Indian robot. Let's see. We have Cousins against OKC? Question mark. Dave.
Yes, I like.
Ditto. Lawson or Kimba? This is a good one. Mike.
Lawson.
Dave.
I like Lawson.
Oh, you sneaky son of a gun. Let's see.
I just want you to buzz me and be wrong.
Cantor or Jane?
Jane.
So
Dave?
basically, Jane.
And I'm on Jang too. You know what that means?
Yo, see? You can't.
Jang,
you can't-
Jang.
Oh, God. You can't break your own rules here, pal.
Hey, I'm the host. Oh, man. No respect around Hill. Hill or Amare? I'll go Hill.
Hill for sure.
Hill.
No doubt about it. I'm going Hill.
Jennings versus the Heat. And will Rondo be playing Mike?
No reason to take Jennings against the Heat.
Let's see. Singler or Richard Jefferson? Dave.
Please stop trolling. That can't be a real question.
Wait. Did
And Desert Eagle, son of a...
Fish Cake King wants to know DeRozan or Bledsoe?
Bledsoe.
Mike, DeRozan or Bledsoe?
Bledsoe.
Mad.
Oh, gosh.
I haven't seen Mike so excited ever.
My name is Borat. I like you. I like sex. It's nice.
It's
Oh,
so much fun.
gosh. When you get into sound effects, man, nothing is off limits. All
I
right.
wish I could use the computer while I was on my web. I wish I could use the internet too. I can't even get on the damn internet right now.
Fantasy Elite, Leonum here, engraved.
Oh, well, go ahead. While you're plugging another show on our sponsor show, go ahead and give your sponsor, Fantasy Elite, a plug.
Yeah, we've teamed up with Fantasy Elite, and they've got a deal going where if you deposit a certain amount on their site, you can get a certain type of subscription for free to the Daily Fantasy Rundown. And on the FI TV show on Monday, we will be doing a Fantasy League draft, Dink and I, for MLB opening day. Shameless plug over.
Yeah, I need to get a ding sound for the shameless plug, like what we had in the video for Scott and Knapp. But yeah, so we're going to be having a player show starting on Monday, and it's going to be really fun. It's going to be just kind of entertainment. Or lack
I get to beat Dink again. I beat him last time, and I'm sure he's bitter about it. So.
Lack thereof. There's going to be live drafting on the show with the Elite app. There's going to be sweats on some late night shows that we have. And yeah, it's going to be really fun. So we're excited about the MLB content. Again, if you haven't checked out the Fantasy Insiders homepage, there's an article and press release about us and Derek Carty. So it is going to be a really fun season. I'm ready for MLB, but that being said, we've got a lot of games tonight, and I feel like there's a million different combinations I could come up with, and it all stems from power forward. That's where you want to. That's either where you want to start or where you want to end up. So if you're making multiple lineups, you want to basically start there. If you're making a cash lineup, you can end there with power forward. That's how I feel, because there are so many options at the power forward spot.
I think that's nicely put.
Stop. Embarrass me. Embarrass me, guy. Also want to give a shout out to our co-host Knapp and Drew, as they're out there in LA for the mansion, and Papa Cub is out there for the championship, and Tommy G, and Dan Bach. It's going to be an absolute. I'm just going to be glued to Twitter tomorrow. That's basically what's going to happen. I really hope people are going to be live tweeting the event. So best of luck to our dear friends there. If you have any more last second questions, feel free to ask us. It looks like Dave is unfrozen for just a split second. So.
Have I been frozen the whole time?
No, you've been unfrozen a little bit, but
I come in and out.
Yeah, and I just decided to let it go.
Whoa, Davis in the chat. Let's tone it down.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, Davis,
Easy there, big fella.
What the heck? Let's see. We have.
He works for FI.
I don't even know where to go with that one. Bad boy.
Oh, I need the oh no sound effect back again.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Let's see. We have when Dirty is saying that's too naughty, then you know you've got a problem. So Ray or McLaulamore, that from William_S.
Like never McLaulamore.
I agree. I think you go Ray, not
Just
even.
always the other side.
Close. Jefferson or Drummond on FanDuel? I think you have to go with Jefferson.
Yeah.
On FanDuel, I think you play Jang.
That I'm sorry, I don't think you heard me read the correction.
Okay, Drummond
right.
for the price. What?
I said Jefferson or Drummond on FanDuel.
No, I think Mike brings up a pretty valid point there. How much is Jang?
5,300. Drummond
Yes.
7,900.
Yeah, no, but that wasn't the question. We've already talked. Now you're making me get all
fine. Drummond.
northern on you guys.
Mike's
Drummond.
just trying to
Hey,
help.
that's not the question. We're walking over here.
Watch yourself, Dave.
On the show with these two northern guys. It's the worst accent ever. But
Yeah, that was brutal.
I think you have to go Al Jeff. But yes, Jang is the play. If you're looking for cash games. However, contrarian, people might want to go contrarian, especially like in the slam.
Yeah, if you want to go contrarian, I see that, but I would
because
still take
McJester's freaking not playing tonight. He said last night on Twitter that if anybody sees him in a lineup, screenshot the lineup and tweet it to him, and he'll give you $25. He'll give you the cost of the entry. Because
McJester, does that?
Yeah, he said he wants to hold himself accountable by not playing. So he's going to get like the shakes, trimmers. I don't know, but you're basically going to have a much better shot at winning the slam because McJester is not in it. That guy is a magician with his lineups. Had a huge night. I mean, had I think a bigger night than Scott did with his lineups. I mean, had more in it, but on DraftKings on Wednesday, 28 of 45, just ridiculous. Let's see, J. Barea or McCallum?
McCallum.
McCallum. Yeah, me too.
McCallum. Let's see.
Even though Beret is kind of an interesting play as well. I didn't really.
Yeah, I've got him as like a fun tournament play, but I don't think you're using.
Does it say fun tournament play on your
fun
sheet?
Tournament play or a fine tournament play?
No, he said fun.
Fun.
He said fun.
What's fun about him? What's fun?
J-Day can be fun.
Okay, he's a fun tournament play. That's fine.
Have you seen his girlfriend? Oh my goodness, or wife, or
Stop it.
Yeah.
Davis Jr. Can we have a segment where you go over your fun tournament plays? Because I want to know your tournament plays and your fun tournament plays.
like drum
Hold on, I
is a
wanna know-
fun tournament play.
I want to know what makes them fun.
Like fun, like shit. Like I mean, I don't know.
Oh,
he
I
looks
got
like a
JJ
lot of fun.
Barea.
This
He's
is
gonna
gonna
be so fun. Okay, here's not a
It's
fun
like
one.
like sneaky, like a little
I got the
under the
funnest
radar. Like
lineup on DraftKings.
Okay.
you get some guys who are almost always tournament plays because they're high upside guys that are overpriced. But Berea's a sneaky. If it's a blowout, he might see extra minutes. The Lakers are
sounds
so
like fun.
terrible, and he's just fun to watch when he's think he has swag.
Okay, this is not fun. Valanciunas or Cantor? I think you go Cantor. This might
I
be
like
fun though.
Joe
Mike,
Val.
you tell me. Brewer or Aminu? Or Aminu?
I'm going to say Brewer, so I don't have to pronounce the other name.
Is he a fun tournament play though?
I think he is. I think Brewer's a fun tournament play.
I think he's kind of fun.
I think he's an okay cash game play too.
No,
At small
stop. Don't
forward.
be bringing your okay cash game adjectives into
At
this
small
play.
forward? No, nah.
No, I mean I think he is, but we're talking about fun tournament plays. We're not talking about
Right.
okay
We're only
cash
fun
plays.
tournament plays.
Yeah.
Let me bring up the fun tournament play cheat sheet.
He's a 30 fantasy point upside type of guy though on FanDuel against the Lakers tonight.
Mike, in your
He's not
next
super
article,
fun to me though.
in your next article, you need just an entire category for fun GPP plays.
Okay.
Okay, I'm counting on you.
Like that could be a lot of fun.
Hey,
I bet it would.
you know what? We've had a lot of fun on this show.
We always do, David.
This is true. The Friday show is like the kind of crazy show. It's like the crazy uncle type of show.
We give good stuff though. I think. I
Yeah,
hope.
you're kind of degrading us right now. I mean,
We're not some sideshow, David.
It's crazy. Like, what are we, clowns?
Well,
Do I amuse you?
yes, you do. You do. Only when you try to pronounce things that you don't know how to. I think it's cute. So, anyways, lots of plays tonight. Make sure you're getting over there to fantasyinsiders.com to read Dave's article and Mike's and Drew's article on the Daily Fantasy Rundown on Roto Experts. And again, Mike and Drew will be drafting on the first ever player show on Monday, and that will be immediately following our regularly scheduled.
Yeah. We can't pronounce what now.
Mike's feisty today, man.
Bad boy.
It's this built-up stress from this MLB NBA overlap.
And it hasn't even started.
I know.
It's going to be intense like a circus, Michael.
We'll fit right
Get it?
in then.
You don't get it, do you?
Well, that will do it for today's show. The ending song is, you guessed it, Some Nights by the group
Fun!
Fun! That's right.
You nailed it, Dave.
That's right. And we will be getting to the plays later on Twitter. So feel free to ask us anything. Might respond, might not. Depends on how close to the lineup lock you get. If you're in the Swag Dome, make sure you're registered for tonight's action. And good luck to everybody. We shall see you on Monday. Monday? Monday.
This is a nice song to take us out.
I'm going to take you out.
Let's go. Leave it on.
No, I meant it like in a nice way. I'm going to take you out.
To a nice dinner.
Yeah, I don't think that can be said in a nice way, but I got it.
No, I think it can be said in a nice way.
Where are my
Let's look through
Swag
too,
Dome
man.
standings?
I will get them. You guys need to stop being so anti-fun right now.